Right now, we are about to witness the top of the table clash. Of course I'm gonna switch screen. I know. I only forget when I'm actually playing. Give me some credit. So, I've only ever actually made the mistake once on stream. And it wasn't even for an entire game because you told me. Remember? Might not have been you. Anyway, spawning on the bottom side of the map. And I'll just change my camera settings. Down you go. We have Carnage as the blue Egyptian player. He's taking his first hunt, and as the red Persian player, of course he's playing Persian. We have Borg taking his first hunt, so Borg's is really sort of close to Carnage's position. Carnage's is a little bit further tucked back, although he does have this one to expand onto here as his second hunt. And so Carnage picking up 3 sheep. Borg's already picked up 3 sheep. If you guys didn't know by now, there's generally 3 or 4 spawns of 3 sheep in the mid-map, so it's always worth trying to fight over those. Oh, Carnage nearly manages to pinch that one off his opponent. Borg just going to try and defend this other 3, but maybe Carnage can do it. So Carnage actually manages to intercept and steal the sheep. Borg says, "Bugger it, I'm not going to bother contesting just yet, but I might loop away and come back and have another go." Carnage in the meanwhile got an early barracks. Borg also an early barracks. It's actually about 100 HP ahead. And that sheep behind Carnage actually helps block him, block the scout from being able to continually tag him. Because the sheep actually slow the scout down to about 4 movement speed. Meanwhile the other scout's moving at 10, so generally it can actually keep tagging hits. But if you've got a sheep or 2 sheep just behind the scout, preferably 1, because 2 you might lose the second one. You tend to avoid extra hits, which might not sound like a huge deal, but it just means that you can go back in, not have to worry about taking the healing upgrade, continually scout in the mid game. Or if you find yourself sort of caught with your pants down, it helps you being able to defend just that little bit more. And Borg right now sort of taking a bit more damage in order to get a bit more information. He wants to know if Carnage is doing anything funny, but it looks like he's just going for a fairly sort of normal opening. He's not going to throw down an extra barracks or, you know, pull villagers off to try and get a really fast town center. So this sort of standard opening. Carnage just sort of keeping track of the Sparbar count here, I think, making sure Borg doesn't mass up too many of them without him knowing, because he can sort of keep up in terms of the spearman count himself. Right now he's just sort of trying to pull a single Sparbar away, I think. Try and deal as much damage to it as possible, because then you can always try and save the scout later on. And if you can force them to have to deal the damage and take the damage on the wolves, even better. So if he sends his units across, it's going to be in his favour. So just these little micro things are not huge by any means, but they may make the difference from time to time. So right now, both of them transitioning onto taking stone. Carnage very slightly faster, but it's not a huge gap by any means. Meanwhile, he's actually sending over a spearman just to do some light harass. Got plenty at home to defend here. There's 7 Sparabara versus 7 spearmen, 8 spearmen, so it's a really sort of even count. I wonder where. Oh, here we go. Carnage has gone in just to try and do some damage, but Borg's already got the aid tent. So it looks like, other than just sort of falling short on this production for a tad there, Borg seem to really be keeping up for the most part. But it looks like he's just managed to clear the last of the spearmen. And Carnage, he's going to hold in the meanwhile back at his home. Here, he's killed all but one of the Sparrow now. There we go, hurry up and die. Meanwhile, Borg, I don't think really lost anything, but he seemed to cut production there for slightly longer. Well, I mean, it seemed to cut production there, sorry, in order to try and squeeze out a slightly later H2. So Carnage doing a good job at defending and just applying a little bit of pressure on his opponent. Right now, Borg trying to clear another hunt and just scout out, but he's sort of been caught a little bit too far away because now he's had to pull these villagers back just a little bit further, and he may lose this storehouse by the look of it. So Carnage is going to snipe one of his storehouses. Going to get out relatively easily, I think. The spearman, single spearman, does get caught in the end. Yeah, it does. So fortunate for that little fella, but he falls in the line of duty. And got a second town centre for Borg. A little bit slower than Carnage's actually. Meanwhile, there's stables coming out from Carnage, so I think he's probably going to look at trying to transition onto the cavalry as soon as he can. Take advantage of the fact that Egypt is quite hard to beat in terms of straight up cavalry fights and is one of the strongest civs in terms of being able to make use of economic pressure with cavalry. Not to say Persia's bad at it, because they are also one of the better civs in either case in Age 2. So it would not surprise me if both players were going to play very stable centric. Another stable's being thrown down, so Carnage already wanting to get on top of his production, his cavalry production for sure. In terms of his opponent, Borg's actually opted for another production facility, but it's a range, so he's got a nice 1-1-1 sort of opening. Carnage taking some eco upgrades now. Borg, I believe, is starting to do the same as well. A little bit slower on his. Carnage is just really starting to pull ahead in terms of economy already. He's got 3 stables, a bunch of houses going up too. So a single Asabara is going to come across the map for Borg. This is actually interesting having this here with Carnage. I think the idea is if his opponent rallies straight around, he'll get to see it. Borg with a single Asabara. Gonna see if he can try and interrupt the building and yeah, just get out some information. This will be a nice pick for him. Should get a villager possibly. Carnage is going to pull it away. Does have the camels here in time to defend, so the Asabara isn't going to be able to stick around. It is going to get the villager, but it's not going to get out on a lot of health, I don't think. In the meanwhile, there is 3 other camels on the way into Borg's base, but he also has some spears there to defend. Moving up just in time, and the camels do catch the Asabara. They are a faster unit. It's 11 speed versus 10, I believe, as their base speeds. Yep. So there's more Asabara on the way over. There's also a big camel count starting to build for Carnage, because he's getting some more at home still. Got the cut in production at the moment. Maybe just working on his economy just for a second. And wanting to try and open something up in this opponent's base. Any little bit of damage is good, as far as either player would be concerned. Some Asabara coming back to help defend. The Persian player sort of needs to rely on their spearmen and the Asabara really to be able to defend. The Asabara would actually try and catch the camels, and then the spearmen to actually try and get the really cost-effective damage on them. A big number of camels actually. I mean, the bottom side, they are going to get some kills. A couple of villagers. Ooh, actually, only a single villager does fall. So, Borg managing to rally them back in time, but he doesn't have a huge amount here. That's funny. Single villager popped and it sort of made the camels dance a bit. Anyways, this third town center of Carnages is going to get caught. I wonder if he's going to have to cancel this because he doesn't really have the camel count to actually defend this back at home. But he's got a good number of chariot archers, so if he can rally them appropriately, and he does cancel the town center, he's going to throw it up somewhere further over the back. So, Borg still hasn't taken his third town center, I don't believe. But Carnage, well actually, sorry, yeah, he can't have, he's by the edge too. So Carnage has already got that age advantage and trying to utilize it. But Borg, at the same token, he's trying to find a way in there and try and interrupt it. Because he knows if Carnage has made that investment, he's not going to have as much out in the field as he otherwise would. But Carnage is already sort of prepared. He's got a town center. He's got a guard tower guarding the town center. Already garrisoning the priestess, so he knew what Borg was going to try and snipe then. Asabara does fall as well. I wonder if they could take that fight. There's not a huge amount of health across the camels. Then again, there's not a huge amount of health across those Asabara. They've already taken a bit of damage. Borg massing a bit of a force up here. Carnage in the meanwhile trying to tuck some camels away, but I think they were only just outside of vision there. Borg trying to secure some vision himself. Getting his age 3 now. Carnage got his third town center. In terms of the villager counts, it's 63 to 53, so Carnage isn't miles ahead. But by the same token, he's going to make Borg have to work. This watch post of Carnage is just getting sniped right now, so... Meanwhile, Borg is going to probably try and retake his half-finished one that he's got up here. In fact... he might not be able to because there's a big number of chariot archers. They are going to pick off a good number of the Asabara. So the chariot archers, they don't really have a thing that they directly counter. They just got a really, really strong base damage. And they are a really nice unit to have in almost any situation. But they are an expensive unit. And the Asabara do have a bit of a bonus against them, so... Borg is going to get his upgrades for his Asabara, get them a bit tankier, probably get some of his ranged defensive upgrades so he can try and survive against them, because that's a big number of them from Carnage. That's nearly 25 of them, and he's already got, I mean, he's also got a bunch of camels just back at home, just in case Borg decides to show up, because it's actually faster that the camels are actually faster than the chariot archers. In fact, the chariot archers are actually slower than the Asabara, so Borg does need to be a little bit careful with that. But there's going to be a big number of units that fall here before Carnage manages to get a lot of picks here. Carnage can really just keep microing these. And Borg really needs to get some mounted archers out immediately if he wants to hold from here. This Carnage is just going to keep chipping away at him. And I mean, looks like he's getting well prepared though. He's really walling up all this lower side of the map for him. It's a nice town center spread. So these are two sorts of base layouts that you're probably going to see at the higher levels. This nice triangle sort of shape It's really sort of hard to crack, particularly if one of the sides backs on to the back of the map, because then there's really only two ways for you to be hit from, and then this other sort of oblong, weird dick looking shape in the corner of the map here. So there's another mounted archer falling, which isn't good for Borg, because if he can't amass a reasonable number of them and a good number of Asabar, he's never going to be able to get a nice surround and a nice amount of chunk of damage on these chariot archers. They are quite a squishy unit, but they are a deadly unit. They're already hitting 50 damage per shot, basically. Considering the Carnage has already got his Age 3 range upgrade as well, so his Age 4 one is going to force them up to about 60. And I think they also gain a bit of damage with their chariot, elite chariot upgrade. Oh no, never mind. They just get stronger against infantry, which just makes them even more of a pest, because suddenly spearmen are no longer useful when trying to deal with Egyptian cavalry. The small force of Borgs is forced to have to back off. Kind of sniping a little bit more of Borg's vision. If he can deny this topside one, he's really going to be in a nice spot, because then Borg's really going to have no idea what's going to hit him. By the same token, it's quite a large map. Both players aren't really reaching for the bottom of the map. There's still some uncontested gold, but it looks like Carnage is going to have it a bit easier to try and get to them. And right now he's trying to find an entrance if he can. But Borg is exceptional at walling off, locking down areas, securing his base. And it looks like he's gonna have the opportunity to surround Carnage here if he can get moving fast. He's having to pull a lot of villagers back already, and that's holy crap. So a lot of villagers already falling for Borg, and damn, 35 of them going idle, and another, or maybe 7 or 8 falling. That's a big economic loss for Borg right now. And in the meanwhile, there's not really anything going on over Carnage's side of the map. He's gonna probably have to bring them back, or deal some damage in Carnage's side of the map, because he just doesn't have enough to engage on this at the moment. There's just so much falling. He's losing houses, losing storehouses, losing farms, so his food economy slowing down quite a bit. Borg here, and his wood economy taking a significant hit too, really. He's got to keep these villagers safe. They are distance gathering, which is not good for him at the moment. Right now he is pushing into Carnage, but Carnage has probably got enough to hold this off, and in the meanwhile there's still 18 chariot archers versus all these forces of Borgs, and all this range is just about getting 2-shot. Chariot archers will get thinned out, but Borg is forced to have to retreat after dealing only a fairly small amount to Carnage, and his units again just being thinned out over and over. He's trying to take another fight up the mid-map, but I don't know if he's got any left in it. He's running out of puff. All these forces on the back line have died, so there's still 3 chariot archers left chipping away at all these storehouses and stuff at the back of Borg's base, and in the meanwhile Carnage is just getting his champion upgrades for his cavalry kicking in. Really going to devastate all the Borg stuff. Oh, sorry, it was his... Oh, it was his spearman axeman. I mean, sorry, his axeman and his camels. But either way, with those axeman upgrades kicking in too, it's going to give him a really, really big advantage, because Borg can't really with Spybar. He can't build Spearman himself either now, so it's forced onto the mounted archers, but there's plenty of Spearmen for Carnage as well. There's got Spearman champion kicked in as well. He's even getting combat expertise, getting his tier 3 damage upgrade for his melee units. He's really pushing straight into Borg's base, and I don't know if Borg is going to have enough to hold from here. There's Immortals that are going to start coming out, but they're not going to make it out in time, I don't think. It's already... Wow. Borg still on 75 workers. The Carnage has got him down to only about 10 army supply, and is throwing up a wonder on top of this, so Borg is really starved for resources at the moment. Immortal camps, finishing off 3 of them at once. So this Immortal's going to come in really handy. They're going to be able to pick off a lot of the infantry quite safely, but Carnage is going to try and focus down the town centre, I think, and just try and get all the houses as well. And this Wonder, Carnage, you dirty man, you dirty old man. The Wonder is going to come up probably around the time I think Borg is going to pull the plug on this, because it just doesn't look like he's going to have enough to hold here. The Immortals do come out just in time, but there's just so little of them. The other town centre up here is being chipped away at, and all these villages on the gold mine are pretty exposed right now. It's just utter carnage at the moment. There's just a million units everywhere. It's just about maxed out too. There we go, another row of spearmen queued up. These Immortals at the back of the base and the bowmen up the back of the base are really putting in work, but it's just not quite enough. The town centre does fall. Carnage is even forward walling his opponent. GG. What the fuck's this? Alright. Man. No disrespect to Borg, because he's a really strong player, but Carnage just never let him ahead for a single second there. He's just absolutely phenomenal. Look at that. Borg's villager control is good, but Carnage is even better. Villager populations, both players doing a wonderful job at working on their economies, but Carnage just that little bit stronger with his. Anyway guys,